So, Michelle.
So, David.
My God, I mean, there is a lot going on, and yet there's not a lot going on.
There's kind of a few things bubbling away, but there's not a lot of hearty, stick your teeth in, let's get stuck in.
Well, there is one thing, but I don't want to talk about it right now, simply because it's Russia and the Ukraine, because that's really boiling, but it's at that critical moment where the water has got all those little bubbles in it, but they're not rolling yet. So it's kind of on a simmer and it's about to pop. So I want to save that.
Save it.
I've been reading so much about what's going on.
Because we all know things taste better once they've been simmering on long for a while.
You want your pasta to be al dente before you start to eat. Now, a couple of things are going on.
Yes.
The whales have popped up again.
I mean, I saw this and I just knew we had to include it. And there's a couple of little things around animal spies.
There's that. There's been a terrible boating party accident in Italy that has very, very deep intelligence.
I know. I was surprised by this one.
Yeah. And also the other thing I really want to talk about, it's very, we've talked about it before, but I just really want to get into it, is the Teixeira case in the US.
Yes.
Has revealed this a massive problem they have with this little thing called need to know. So I want to explain that. We haven't really dug into that one, and it's one of the hard and fast rules of intelligence. So you know what? It's a Bitzer episode.
A bits of this, a bits
a
of
mongrel
that.
episode.
Let's get stuck in.
Get into it.
You're listening to I Spy, the dolphin trainer of Australian intelligence.
Oh, God, baby, dinner first. Oh, no, not a fish. Oh,
What?
oh, it's kissing my neck.
Cover it up, man. Hello and welcome to I Spied. My name's Michelle Stevenson. I'm here with David Callan. Now, we do, as we mentioned, we have a few things that we want to tuck into.
Yeah.
I say we go light first.
Go light. Let's go light.
Let's go light.
Go heavy. And then finish a little light.
And this was something that kind of popped up on my Twitter feed.
It did.
And we have a Twitter feed.
We do. At I Spied
Podcast.
Podcast. Oh, we're doing it together now.
I know, right?
We need to harmonise
next.
next.
We're so good.
At I Spied Podcast.
I'm not doing that.
Okay.
But it kind of taps into, and we have briefly spoken about animal espionage. We talked about the dolphins.
The dolphins, the beluga whales, which now, Lance, and there's some... The animals are rebelling. There's a great story coming out of Gibraltar as well, but let's get into this one first.
Yeah, so experts say there's been a new spotting of an accused Russian spy. Now, that headline caught my eye, but it was an accused Russian spy whale. And all he wants is companionship.
I just want a friend.
He just wants a friend.
Look, it's a lonely life being a spy.
It is. He's a beluga whale.
Sure, you have sex with lots of people, but it's shallow. You literally are getting up the next morning and putting your shoes on very quietly and sneaking out the door. Trust me,
well,
I know.
and beluga whales like to go deep. So this whale was suspected of being a Russian-trained spy.
Yep.
Now, he's migrated to the Swedish coast because he's lonely, according to a marine
And he's looking
biologist.
for a blonde whale.
He's looking. Well, apparently he hasn't got any other whales, particularly beluga whales, to hang out with. Now, he was first spotted in 2019 off the coast of northern Norway.
Yep.
And he was wearing a tight harness.
Call it what it is. He's wearing a girdle.
Yeah,
He's an overweight beluga whale.
And it has the words "Property of St. Petersburg" printed on it.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
Well, some are saying, some don't believe that he is a spy whale. Now, the reason why he's wearing a harness and why he's being accused of being a Russian spy is because then you can attach, all the things to it.
Well, and that's one of the things with the cetacean squads that we have. I mean, there are satellite photos coming out of the Black Sea where Sevastopol, I think, there are dolphins swimming around the opening of Sevastopol Harbour, and they believe they're trained dolphins. They're trained to attack divers.
Yes.
So if somebody's trying to, swim into the harbour, these dolphins, imagine being attacked by Flipper.
I mean, they're rapists. Dolphins are rapists.
Wow.
They are. Have you not looked into dolphins? Oh, my God. They are rapists.
Whoa. It's just that escalated very quickly.
Well, okay, do some Googling and you will be shocked at what dolphins get up to. They're like drug-addicted rapists.
Look, hang on a minute.
Pedophiles.
I have
They'll stick it in anywhere. I'm not even joking.
I have an extremely curated history on my internet for a reason. I'm not going to go rapist whale and see what comes up.
Dolphin.
Sorry, rapist. Oh, sorry, we've got to qualify that. How do we know that the beluga whale wearing a harness isn't a BDSM whale?
Well, it could be a BDSM whale. Now, beluga
Thank me.
whales can. Okay, we're going way too far now.
Yeah.
Beluga whales can dive to incredible depths, so that's kind of why everyone thought it was a spy whale.
I just love the name spy whale. Now, the thing is, there is history of this. I mean, funnily enough, if you think about it, SeaWorld San Diego was very close to the Navy SEAL facility. Does that make you think of something? And there has been an idea of training dolphins and whales to dive deep, particularly for stricken submarines and things like that. The whole thing is, it's like, bottom line is, in the acting thing, never work with animals and children. The problem with a beluga whale is this beluga whale's gone rogue. I
know, he's gone rogue. Now, when it comes to animal espionage, he wouldn't be the only animal used for or suspected of espionage.
No.
Now, we do know in the 1960s, the US government used ravens, pigeons, and cats to spy during the Cold War.
Yeah.
The cat operation was supposedly called Acoustic Kitty and was run by the CIA.
The thing I like about that is, how are you ever going to get a cat to do anything you want?
Cats don't care about anyone but themselves.
Yeah, cats are they're about, I mean, they say that human beings are 4 meals away from barbarism, Cats are half a meal away from complete feral, all right?
Now, I like this one. In 2007, Iran captured 12 squirrels, accusing them of being equipped with espionage gear. Squirrels.
They had them stuffed in their cheeks.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, this is the thing. You can use animals in various ways, but it comes down to dependability and consistency of action. And the thing with the beluga whale, they're highly intelligent. Most of your cetaceans are very intelligent animals. We can't literally talk to them, but there are ways of communicating. But if this thing does not want to do the job anymore, there's not a lot you can do.
Well, they're saying warm seas and lack of companionship and just food as well. Dwindling marines. He just wants to go. And also last year we've got to talk about how the US Naval Institute wrote that Russia had deployed trained dolphins during its invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah, that was Sevastopol.
Yeah, which is what we talked about.
Yeah. So look, the whole thing about it is you've got a relatively intelligent creature that has been working probably for fish, quite literally. Yeah. And, it's probably gone, I'm jack of this, which is not uncommon with spies. Spies can defect purely for love.
Yeah.
Right. You don't. The thing we have is a spy defects because he's going to turn on his handlers or no. Most of the time, it's a personal reason.
Yes.
Most people want out for personal reasons.
Well, and if you see the pictures, he's just quite a sweet-looking little whale, and he's just coming up, and he's got their harness on him, and he just wants to be petted.
That harness makes him look really rapey.
He's not a dolphin, though.
I can't believe we're talking about rape and dolphins.
Okay, well, let's segue into
right now
a boat.
A boat. Oh, my God.
Let's do the boat.
Let's do the boat. Let's do the boat. Okay, you're going to love this.
We'll stay on the water.
So there was, in Italy, there was a report of a boat that was lost in a storm.
On one of the lakes.
On one of the lakes. Yeah. Lake Como or something like that. Right now, this boat.
Because there was some British people on there as well. I actually covered this in my news.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
All right. So I'm fascinated about it because it's purported to have been an ex-Mossad officer's birthday party.
I know. So this is crazy. When you sent me this link, I was like, hang on a minute.
Wait a second. Wait, there are no dolphins in this. This isn't. Right. The whole thing is, basically, I reckon a dolphin did it because it was after a bit of gear.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy looks cute. I'm going to get him out of his
shifty
boat.
motherfuckers, let me tell you.
There goes our language. Okay, kiddies, that's a word we use. So basically there was this birthday party on a boat in one of the lakes in northern Italy. A storm blew through.
Yep.
A storm. I don't know.
Okay, this happens because I spent a good at least almost 10 years in living in Canada, and they have some lakes, right? They've got the world's largest lakes.
Yeah.
And one of the lakes, Lake Huron, we used to take a boat out and it got caught in a storm.
Oh, really?
And these lakes are so big, they have their own little micro.
Yeah, they have their microclimates.
Yeah.
But,
and you can get caught up in some crazy storms on there, like massive waves, like you feel like you're in the ocean.
Oh, okay. See, I've never been there, but, every photo you see of Lake Como, it's absolutely
Well, I don't think they were on Lake Como.
It's like a mirror.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, this birthday party had it was a birthday party for an ex-Mossad officer. The thing is,
allegedly.
On the boat, allegedly. Yeah, a lot of allegedly here. There were allegedly serving Mossad officers on the boat.
Right.
And allegedly up to 20 Italian intelligence officers on the boat.
Right.
Now, that's a lot of intelligence officers.
So apparently there was 23 passengers when the storm hit, and the boat was only licensed to carry 15.
Well, hello. Welcome to any party on Sydney Harbour that you see during the Christmas period. The boats are always overloaded. So, we've got 20 Italian and Israeli intelligence officers are on board, all right? Now, interestingly enough, there have been lots
and a Russian woman.
Yeah, and a Russian woman, right? Now, we've got a Russian woman on there as well.
Who was part of the two-person crew. She died.
Now, the agents of the Italian intelligence service were supposedly secretly taken out of emergency rooms where they were hospitalised, right, so they wouldn't have their identities revealed.
Yeah.
The other thing is, again, allegedly, the Israelis were all emergency airlifted from Italy back
Which
to
is
Israel.
crazy.
But again, it comes down to that thing of if you have a bunch of intelligence officers in a room and something goes wrong, you need to cover that up really, really quickly. Now, the interesting thing is, Reddit, I love Reddit, it's so much fun. Reddit, of course, immediately has everyone gone, Iran did it, right?
Created the storm.
The storm would have been beautiful cover for a frogman to swim up to the boat and put a limpet on the bottom and blow it up and the sinks and everyone. And, and then as the frogman is swimming away, he's gently raped by a dolphin.
Yeah. They're horny.
I'm still like,
what? But the captain of the boat survived.
Yeah. Right. Well, of course, several people died. In fact, the remains, it was the birthday boy who was one of the casualties.
Oh, so sad.
But they were recovered.
Did he get cake before he died is the question.
Is that a euphemism for dolphin? Right. So the other thing is, the thing that's most interesting about this for me is how quickly the conspiracy started to pop up.
Right, yes.
Which
makes sense.
Look, as soon as you say there's 20, it sounds like a joke. There were 20 spies on a boat.
Yeah.
Right. You sounds like the setup for a gag.
Yep.
The thing is, it's also the setup for a lot of conspiracy theories. And here's the thing. Spies have birthday parties. I mean, one of the guys...
They're real people.
They're real people. One of the things I always found interesting about ASIO was when it was your birthday, you got a morning tea.
Yeah, wow.
With, like typical public service.
Awkward cake. It's always awkward cake in our office.
One guy that I worked with, his nickname was Hats.
Yes.
Right,
I think
because
I remember this.
that stands for hundreds and thousands sandwiches, because he insisted that he got fairy bread on his birthday every year.
Now, is fairy bread just an Australian thing? I think it is, right?
It's totally Australian.
It's such a weird one.
Every time you tell Americans about it,
they're like, what?
Wait a minute, coloured sugar on bread?
It is so random, but it does taste so good. Yeah.
Kids love it. Right, so that's been going on. That's another one of these random little things that popped up in the intelligence community. And the thing is, this is also great water cooler fodder. If you're, they'd be sitting around at ASIO going, well, what happened?
So what do you think happened?
What do I think happened?
Yes.
I think the boat was overloaded. It was hit by a storm, and I have a feeling it probably capsized.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of detail on this, and I can almost guarantee you there won't be a lot of detail on this because, if it was an accident and it was an overloaded boat, it's embarrassing for the Italians, it's embarrassing for Mossad. And if it was an intelligence operation, it's embarrassing for Italians and Mossad.
Imagine being a Mossad agent, and because the guy was retired, one of the guys, he was retired. Yeah. So you survive being a Mossad agent, probably in one of the most turbulent times in history.
Oh, yeah.
And then you die drowning.
You drown.
By accident on your birthday. It's like slipping in the tub.
That's the one. It's on your birthday. Of all the days, you don't want to die.
But it's just, surely they could swim. I just don't understand it. Anyway.
But again, if it's a storm, if it's high seas, and again, the other thing is, who knows what if people are wearing a suit, it's not easy to swim in a suit.
I know, but I just feel like there's some kind of sweet irony of surviving.
Oh, totally.
Yes.
Right. To get all the way through serving for Mossad to then suddenly, boom, you're dead. Sucko.
Okay, speaking of broken.
All right.
Let's go to...
I'm going to read you...
whether the security clearance system is broken.
Is broken or not. Now, I'm going to read you a paragraph from a report.
Please do.
Right, okay. Bear with me. It's a little long, and I will post this on our Twitter feed.
Can I take a mini nap?
Yeah, go. If you start snoring, I'll just switch your microphone off. Right. Unauthorised disclosure of classified information is a long-standing problem that has increased in severity over the past decade. This problem has resisted efforts in solution under a number of administrations. Yet, the protection of national security information remains a fundamental constitutional duty of the president. This is an American report, right? The continuing large number of unauthorised disclosures has damaged the national security interests of the United States and has raised serious questions about the government's ability to protect its sensitive information from disclosure in the media. We must seek more effective means to prevent, deter and punish unauthorised disclosures. At the same time, we must recognise that this is a complex problem and is unlikely to be solved easily or quickly. That is the start of a major report into the condition of US intelligence and intelligence handling from 1982.
Right.
So at the moment, America is leaking like a sieve.
Yes.
And now the interesting thing about it is with Teixeira, the guy who, the Discord leaker.
The crazy guy.
Right. Now, we have leaks and we have whistleblowers. Right. So at the moment, Teixeira is a leaker. Right.
Because he didn't even realize he was doing it.
Oh, no. He knew exactly what he was doing.
But he didn't realize the scope of what he was doing. I don't think, because he was quite young, and I think he was just trying to impress some mates.
Aha. Now, here's the interesting point about that is Teixeira, this is what's come out of the investigation so far. Teixeira had been recognised that he was accessing intelligence that he shouldn't be accessing.
Oh.
He was writing notes about intelligence he wasn't meant to be accessing, and he was taking photos of intelligence that he wasn't meant to be accessing, right? Basically, they knew the guy was a problem, but no one did anything about it because, he's got a top secret clearance, so how can
that also
can it
sounds
be?
like a very public servant situation
where
no one wants to have to do anything.
Yeah, very National Guard situation.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, right? It's where he was working is called a SCIF, a secure contained intelligence facility.
Yep.
Basically, the intelligence goes in there and it never comes out. Well, he was dragging it out hand and foot.
How was it? It boggles my mind that it wasn't picked up.
Right. Now, here's the interesting point about that. It
Okay.
all comes down to the need-to-know principle, something we have discussed before, but I'm going to go right
discussed
through
it a few times.
Right. So the NTK works like this. It's the compartmentalization of sensitive intelligence to prevent leaking, right? So bottom line, if you don't need to know, you will not be told. The problem we have at the moment, and it's not so bad in Australia, we're actually doing quite well, but the problem the United States and to a lesser extent the UK have at the moment is they are leaking like a sieve because too many people are given access and too much intelligence is overclassified.
Yeah.
Right. So just to make sure we know the difference between a leak and a whistleblower, because the problem Australia has isn't leaking, it's whistleblowing.
Yeah.
Right. So for us, a leak is usually to the media, right? It's generally anonymous and it's designed to use that intelligence, that information.
For good.
No, to push an agenda.
Yeah.
That's a leak.
Yes.
Right. Whereas a whistleblower.
Oh, I thought you were talking about whistleblowing.
No, that's leaking. Whistleblowing is generally to the media or a relevant authority. It's almost always attributable.
Yes.
Right? So, and it's designed to expose potential malfeasance or corruption.
Well, a whistleblower does it because they have access, but they're not trying to leak something out. They're trying to shine a light on something that
exactly
they
right. So
is not quite right.
The great examples are David McBride with the Afghan war crimes, Witness K and the Timor embassy cabinet room bugging, and the other one, of course, is Andrew Wilkie when he was working at ONA. He made a moral decision to stand outside the ASIO/ONA headquarters, call a press conference, and go, "The government is lying to you about weapons of mass destruction." Now, this is the thing: is in Australia we have a problem with our whistleblowers is they're not protected, and that's why David McBride has been going to court, why Witness K went to court. Andrew Wilkie, I think, went to court, but basically everyone went, bang, he got us banged to rights. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And now he's in Parliament and he's against poker machines, and good for him. But with leaking, we don't suffer it as badly as Americans do. Their leaks are absolutely tragically bad.
They have a lot more people who have access. They have over 1 million people, right, who have access to classified documents.
Yeah. Now, on top of that, they've got something like it's multiples of a million. In the report I've got there, they say that there are more people in America with security clearances than the population of Australia or Singapore. To which I went, Australia's a little bit bigger than Singapore.
Yeah.
Right. Now, the thing is, they do have too many people. And one of the big problems they have is you've got to constantly upgrade that. You've got to keep an eye on it to make sure that it's still solid. So it's called a security review.
Yeah.
In the last year, the United States had 144,000 security reviews.
That's crazy.
That's a huge number of
So
people.
they've got like about 1.3 million people
Yeah.
who are cleared to look at top secret documents.
Now, that's just the people cleared in intelligence roles. On top of that, you have members of Congress.
Yep.
In Australia, it would be members of Parliament.
Yep.
And the people working for them. Because like a government minister and a shadow minister will have access to this material. Now, his staff then have to be cleared to be able to look at it because they need to work on it as well. And here we have the problem with leaking.
Yep.
Right? Not worried about whistleblowers. Well, I can be worried about them because sometimes they blow a whistle and it's like, dude, that whistle did not need to be blown.
Yeah.
But in the case of McBride, Witness K and Andrew Wilkie, I think, no, you were doing the right thing. I mean, we've also got the guy at the tax office who's currently
I was about to bring PwC up because they've been busted leaking highly confidential government tax information to key personnel.
Now, the interesting thing about that is
and making money from it, millions.
Yeah, now that becomes corruption, but that's a lot of those leaks have been exposed through an investigation through Senate.
They
estimates.
have, and I think the Defence Force have contracts with PwC worth $200 million. So
something like 60 contracts. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then you've got the Reserve Bank as well have now just decided that they're going to cut ties with PwC. I mean, this is a company that had access to some pretty crazy info, and we found out they used it not for good reasons.
Yeah, and that's just one of them.
Yeah.
Right? There's Deloitte, there's Ernst & Young, there's all of these other consultancy companies that come up. Now, again, we have all of these different players that get hold of so the tax information, the stuff from the ATO isn't necessarily classified, but it doesn't have to be classified to be sensitive.
Yes.
Right? So it might be government in confidence. It's certainly not intelligence in confidence, but it's definitely in confidence. And the fact that, they're sending emails going, by the way, this is going to happen and hush, hush, don't talk about it.
Yeah, but also to help, big companies avoid paying tax that they should pay.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's their job, though. But
I understand that's their job, but when you're doing it before everyone else knows about it.
Exactly. Right. Now, just to give an example, like in America, the leaks we've had, the Discord leaks, Snowden. Now, here's the thing. After Snowden, they literally turned around and went, maybe we shouldn't let you use thumb drives on your computer at work.
Yeah.
It's like at ASIO, you could never do that. You just wouldn't.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like going back to the need to know principle, I was cleared to top secret. Right? I was cleared to top secret code word, which is now, that's top secret, but then siloed into different areas. The thing was, I had access to all of it. I didn't read it all. Like
I'm surprised you love sitting there and reading boring shit.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I remember at one point I was going through the stacks and there was the file, the top secret file on Pine Gap. And part of me went, ooh, I really want to know what's going on in there. But that little moral compass in my brain went, no, you don't. Put it back. Right. So, and I didn't read it. And to this day, I really regret it because I wish. Now, the stuff about the alien landings at Woomera, I hoovered that up.
Yeah.
And by the way, for all you guys that I met at Woomera that day,
What are you
just
are you
communicating with our aliens.
Stroke?
No, that's just that's Venusian for
Do you
I'll
smell
meet you at the
burnt
pub.
toast?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Now the thing is, the whole thing about need to know and access to top secret material is it comes down to trust and upholding that trust. It's integrity. So the thing about the leaks that are going on in the States is, there are a lot of people that have just realised I've got access to all this material and I can either make bank out of it or I can make my gamer mates think I'm cool, which none of them did. Or
because they were too young to understand how important it was. He was trying to impress really young kids, like teenagers who were way younger than him. It was bizarre.
Yeah. Now, just to give you 2 examples of leaks of intelligence material in Australia in recent years. One is from 2018. Where there was a leak about Australia moving its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, right? Now, that was a threat assessment written by ASIO to say if we do that, this could cause us a lot of problems, not just in Israel and Palestine, but it could cause us a lot of problems in Indonesia, right? Indonesia is the largest Muslim nation in the world, and if we suddenly let go one of the holiest sites in the Muslim world, because Jerusalem is as holy to the Muslims as it is to Israel or the Jews. The whole thing is if we then have our embassy to Israel in Jerusalem, that will insult Indonesia, and it's important that we keep them on side. So it was this whole thing. And then suddenly it was leaked just before the Wentworth by-election.
I know.
Right?
Interesting, wasn't it?
Interestingly enough. Now, Scott Morrison, who was PM at the time, blamed that on the New South Wales ALP. Which, interestingly enough, the New South Wales ALP went, one, why would we know about this?
Yeah.
Right. So it was one of those things. It was a very convenient leak. And this is one of the things with leaks, again, we're talking about using intelligence
and
to push
for those who haven't connected the dots, is because Dave Sharma
was up against Karen Phelps. He was not looking good.
And he was
He was the ambassador to Israel.
Yeah.
And also, a really important thing, Wentworth has a rather large Jewish population.
Really large
Jewish population.
Yep.
Interestingly enough, the reaction from, because I live in Wentworth, a lot of the reaction from my neighbours was, yeah, right, what the hell, why? Why are you doing this now? And we don't care.
Well, but I would imagine that there would be a huge swathe of Jewish people who would care.
No. That was the interesting thing. They were
Did you talk to every single one of them?
Not every single one, but I do have.
So we're going to go by what your neighbours said?
Yeah, but I literally am. I live amongst them. I am the goy boy of my street. Now but what was interesting was when I did bring it up with them, they were like, we read this as being. They basically said, look, we look at this as just jockeying for our vote. They didn't buy into it, I think is what I'm trying to say. It wasn't there. I'm quite sure there would have been people out there that went, yes, I firmly believe. I didn't get to talk to any of them.
Right.
Right. So I believe that was a minority. And the proof of the pudding was Karen Phelps won that election.
Yeah.
Right. Now, the other one is last year, 2022, with the ISIS bride leak. Right. There was a report. There was a report that came out about ISIS brides being, brought back to Australia. And it was basically
to live in Western Sydney.
Yeah, to live in Western Sydney. And suddenly there's a report revealed that, I can't actually remember what the report had in it, but essentially the media grabbed hold of it and went, we're going to let these terrorists loose in Western Sydney.
Yeah, and they were feeding the McDonald's.
Yeah,
it was all
it was like
so many weird things came out of that
really
story.
Weird things. The bottom line for that one was, again, it was condemned by ASIO. Basically, Burgess turned around and went, you are now putting ASIO officers and other government officials, including intelligence officers, at risk by doing this.
Look, I do. It's one of those ones where I do see why there would have been a need for community members to know, and a little bit of transparency around that, because you got to remember a lot of these women who were coming back had been brainwashed.
Oh God, yeah.
And there would be some fear around having them live next door to you.
Yeah. Now, interesting enough, when ASIO had a look at itself, because every time there is a leak, the first point of call, if you're the head or you're in that organisation, is who did it.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing is ASIO went through everything and it's like, it wasn't one of us. We know that for a fact because, simply put, everybody was just like, well, why would we?
Yeah.
It doesn't assist us at all.
Yes.
Most likely it came from the leakiest part of any government staffers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Now, this is one of the problems the United States are discovering as well, is as much as we have these, what I like to call bulk or Walmart leakers, where they literally dump millions of documents.
Yeah.
So Chelsea Manning, was it Snowden, and then Discord Boy, right? They're dumping multiple, tons of material, but then there's these subtle, like one-off documents that come out at just the right time to embarrass somebody in just the right way. This is one of the things we have to really focus on with the handling of intelligence.
Yes.
One, better vetting. Right. We've got to, and again, this is not a biggest problem in Australia, but it becomes a big problem for Australia if we start sharing intelligence even more so with the United States as we get more and more enmeshed in their military.
But I think that we would probably have more of an issue sharing stuff with them based on the fact that they tend to be a leaky ship.
Exactly. And this comes down to back in the day with the Cambridge fire.
Yes.
Where Australia was being blamed for all of this intelligence being leaked out of Woomera.
And it wasn't us.
And it wasn't us.
It wasn't us.
It was MI6 that had the hole in it. But America and the UK stopped sharing with us for a while.
Did they apologise?
Well, no. You don't. You just like, sorry about that, moving on.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, oops. Yeah, that was us, by the way. Anyway, moving on.
Sorry.
The other thing that came up was it was just after I left, and there was the revelation that there was probably a KGB operative in ASIO. And then suddenly, again, the tap it doesn't get turned off, it becomes a drip.
Yeah.
Until literally it's kind of, like ASIO has evolved incredibly since I left. My God, we got rid of the dinosaur. Let's get some young folk in. So what happened was essentially ASIO got put on the outer for a while. Now it's back in the circle.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. America, the problem we have with America and its leaking is America is the big partner in this group, right? So in the Five Eyes group, America rules the roost, right? The fact that, Joe didn't show up for his, lunch in Sydney, bummer. But that, again, the fact that it was a big story here and it was a non-story in the US. And yes, the debt ceiling was raised. Hello. We all knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I got into a terrible flame war with somebody on our Twitter feed because they didn't like the way you talked about Biden, which I just went, oh, dude, grow up.
They didn't like the way I talked about Biden.
Yeah, because you were, no, you said that you were, you know how
I wasn't ageist. I said
you made the joke. And I
just,
my reaction was, Michelle has her opinion and she's allowed to express it. Well, you've just become nothing but a filthy right-wing platform for Murdoch. To which I went, oh, dude, I'm not buying into this. He went, well, I'm going to stop listening and I'm going to block you and good luck because your podcast will have no listeners. And I just went, oh, bummer, lost by one.
Yeah, but also the thing is, like, you and I have opposing views. I don't think I'm right leaning. I think I'm a bit more centrist. It's just you're so far left that I look right.
See, again, yeah, but here's the thing. I'm not so far left, right?
You are far left. You are ridiculously so far left. You are like the leftiest left of the Leftville.
But the thing is, you thinking I'm a lefty is what makes you look right.
That is so not true.
No,
you are.
not.
Oh my God! If we were to take a poll on who thinks you're left, there's a lot of left. Everyone would think you're left leaning.
Yeah. Look, that's fine. But here's the thing.
It's okay. We're digressing.
Exactly, because I think that you're quite pragmatic in your view, right? I do tend to think that you lean conservative, but I think you're quite pragmatic in that.
Yeah.
Right. Where I do tend to lean left, but again, I'm pragmatic. If the left do something wrong, I'm not going to sit there and go, oh no, it's different. It's like, no, you fucked up. You get payout.
As a journalist, we have to, whenever I do a news bulletin, I do hourly news bulletins. Yeah. One side I will do Dutton. The next hour I will do Albo. Yeah. It's like I always do opposing sides. So like I might ream on Biden, but God damn it, the Republicans cop it worse from me.
Oh, dude.
Like, do you know what I mean? It's not like just because I don't like the Republicans doesn't mean I don't see the faults that Biden has.
Exactly. Right. Now, and look, to be perfectly honest.
We're digressing.
Yeah, the GOP, and just to finish this up, the GOP, honestly, there are train wrecks looking at the GOP going, God damn, that's
but the whole thing is a mess. And all I want for America is that they get someone who's, a little younger and like
all I want is can we have somebody to do the fucking job of president,
because someone in their 80s is not really going to understand what the average American actually wants.
Yeah, but also somebody who's lived in Parliament there or in Congress for their entire career as well. Oh, yeah, we could get it. That's a totally different conversation.
Anyway, we should do a bite size on all of this stuff.
All of this. Here's the thing that's really interesting is when you said that as a journalist you have to remain balanced.
Yes.
No matter what your opinion. Now, there are news outlets that they're journalists and they're not journalists, they're commentators.
But it's usually the opinion
writers, yeah. So
and that's what, and everyone gets that confused, right? So like they read an opinion piece in the Australian and they say the Australian's right. And I'm like, well, no, that's the opinion.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Now, this is the same thing. Yeah. Everybody, when I left ASIO, everyone was like going, oh, you must be really conservative. To which I'm going, dude, no.
Because it's a government.
It's a government job.
Yeah.
One of the things is, you can have a political belief. You can't be a member of a union. You can't be a member of a political party. You can't be a member of all these things because that immediately compromises you. Yep. And you've got to be able to look at something, even though you may fully believe that person is absolutely right. If the intelligence is telling you they're doing something wrong, it behooves you. It is your duty to follow that through. And there were problems with people covering stuff up. There were problems with people, like the whole thing with the Communist Party, with Brigadier Spry, and also, and it came from Menzies, the fact that we've got to crush the Communist Party. They weren't anything dangerous anyway. No. Yes, they were being used by the KGB on occasion, but then again, political parties on all right through the spectrum are being used by ideologues for various purposes. It's your job as a journalist, the same way it's the job of an intelligence officer, to look at the facts and use them.
It's the same way. I'm going to wrap this up because I know like we've kind of like
we've gone everywhere today.
Diverted a bit. But, you know, the same with the COVID stuff when it was first coming out. Like, you know, I had to work I was one of the few people that had to go to work every single day.
Yeah.
And all I talked about was COVID. I talked about death numbers. So it was quite intense times, right? And so, you know, for me, I was not I was questioning stuff, but I was all about people getting vaccinated and all that. And then people who were like the anti-vaxxers, I was writing them off. I thought they were quite nuts. But then I started to read more and more information, and I was like, well, you know, there are things that the anti-vaxxers had said, which I can see that may be true or, you know, are coming into fruition. So, look, I think at the end of the day, it's all about being able to see both sides and admitting when you're wrong. Like there are times where I go, you know what, I think I got that wrong.
Yeah. I do that, but very quietly in a dark room where no one can hear me.
But I think
no, I come in here and you tell me I'm wrong.
Journalists particularly, and I think this is where the lack of faith in media, journalists in particular have a real issue with admitting when they're wrong.
Yes, exactly. Whereas a spy, I truly believe an intelligence officer has to be ready to admit they're wrong.
Yes.
Right? If you double down on incorrect information, you're not only screwing yourself, you're screwing the case. All right? So let's
wrap this up.
Let's wrap this up. All right.
In a bow. In a really nice bow.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't need to know, we will not tell you.
Okay.
And if somebody does tell you, that's bad, unless they're a whistleblower and they're exposing something that could down the line be a problem. It's necessary. Good is not the word I'd use. It's necessary, right? And the problem is there should be ways and means that gets exposed.
Yep.
But unfortunately, we have governments that have gone, we don't want that exposed. Like both sides of parliament, right? Both sides of the political spectrum don't want things exposed, and they'll go out of their way to make sure it doesn't. That's, sorry, that's politics. The other thing we need to know is don't ever get on an overloaded boat on an Italian lake with intelligence officers.
In Italian shoes and a suit on your birthday.
And if a whale walks up to you wearing a strap on, swim the other way.
Except if you're a dolphin. Take it.
Take it. You'll love it.